Hello. My name is Dustina. This is Spiritual Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the astrological transits of January 19th to January 25th. Now, before we get started, a couple quick little things. One, I announced this on yesterday's podcast episode with the new moon in Capricorn. I'm announcing again on this weekly episode. I recently did a guest spot back during the very first Mercury Mars conjunction in October, ironically enough. And the Mercury Mars conjunction was very big coming through this weekend, going into the week that we're going into. Um, and I did a guest spot on a friend's startup podcast called The Quiet Knowing. Now, this is a really cool podcast where we start to get to know different types of healers and different paths in regards to healing. One of the things a lot of people like to come to me about is asking questions about what path that they should go down and must only know of like one or two. They don't realize that there's a slew of different things that you can actually check into. And her podcast is exactly that. It's actually getting to know different type of healers and their trade and what they do, but also hearing their awakening stories in the process. So I did a podcast episode with her, like I said, back in October. It's gone out as of this week. I will post the YouTube link in the description for y'all to go check out, get to know Kendall, get to know The Quiet Knowing, and check out some of the other healers that have been on her podcast because it's been coming out for a couple of weeks now. Okay, moving along. The weekend had a lot of downloads for a lot of people based off of like the clarity, the idea, new passions, new desires, new drives. But it was the starting vibration. And for a lot of people, there was a root element of like, I need to build a foundation. I am at a foundation level. I am feeling stuck, but I'm also feeling like I'm rooting into something. Some people, it wasn't necessarily feeling stuck. It was like rooting, and you're doing it purposely. Other people were like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do right now. And it kind of feels like I'm stuck. The thing is, anytime that we talk about the foundation of a land or a plant or something like that, there's always a rooting system that is meant to go deep down and build anchoring supports for what will build, what we will grow later on. We are in a foundational level. However, that foundation requires some conversation. It requires some news. It requires certain things to come to light. It requires a certain type of analytics, planning, conversation. And whenever it comes to this week, some of us are going to be talking to people about our recent downloads, about our recent decisions, around our recent like clarity, the epiphanies that have come through. There has been a very specific vibration. And what's funny to me is over the last 24 hours, I have had a mashup of two songs in my head that I don't think should ever be mashed up. I want to be clear about that. Like, these are two songs that do not make sense together. But as an individual, I understand why they're coming through. So after I recorded the new moon in Capricorn episode, I had to go out and run errands. And of course, whenever you're running errands on a weekend, there's a lot more people. And this one song had two ways of coming up. So I know it was important. That's why I'm bringing this first one up, and then I'll explain the second one too. Not nearly as important as the first one, because this first one is probably going to be the name of this podcast episode. And that is Land of Confusion. Walking through one store, feeling people's vibration, you could just feel the weirdness, the confusion, that you could feel it. And I kept hearing Land of Confusion. Hop in the truck. I was in the truck yesterday. I don't know what, sorry. Hop in the truck, go to the next store, and I put on my metal playlist. Well, Land of Confusion is a song on that playlist. And it starts playing. It comes up on the play. Cool. I'm jamming out, little rock star thing going on in the front seat of the pickup truck, all the stoplights, you're a little bit more antics, whatever. If you ever see me driving, you're probably going to see me dancing in the truck. I do not care. This is my own personal concert. Get to my next stop. Go to pull my phone to unplug it from the radio, and the screen does not show that I'm listening to Land of Confusion. It actually shows that I'm listening to a very different song. So there's a glitch. I was supposed to hear that song, Land of Confusion. The meaning and the lyrics of this song is you have the makings of things that should be great, but people that are in these positions of power and greatness tend to do the things opposite of what's good for everybody. Why? Because they lead with their egos. And I feel like we're going to see little tests and triggers this week based off of the transits, that arguably this could be the most triggering week of the year because of how many planetary conjunctions to Pluto we're going to have this week. Venus is the first. It's how we start the week. Venus conjunct Pluto. By the middle of the week, we will have a Mercury cazimi. Immediately following the Mercury cazimi, Mercury will hit a conjunction to Pluto. Then the Sun will hit a conjunction to Pluto. And as we go into next week, Mars will hit a conjunction to Pluto. So one will carry over into the next week. But all of this speaks to an environmental change. When I'm saying environment, I'm not just saying like the land. It can be. I want to be clear about that. But it's not just that. It's things in our environment. It's watching our environment go from the black and white Pleasantville startup to the Technicolor level up vibration. We're seeing transitions. And I want to talk about the potential of vibration around Pluto transits. Now, I'm a Scorpio rising. Every time there's a Sun-Pluto conjunction, I set aside sometimes an entire day, a lot more times parts of a day, to just meditate on what I need to change, what I need to transform, where I need to take efforts to unblock myself, to end certain power struggles, to commit to levels of my healing process. I face the trauma head on. Sun conjunct Pluto transits. As a Scorpio rising, Pluto is one of my chart rulers, Mars being the other one. And Mars also just had a conjunction to the Sun. So for you Scorpio risings, be aware, this is going to be an intense week, but it ain't just for the Scorpio risings. There's also going to be the elements around Gemini Virgo risings. There's going to be elements around Taurus and Libra risings. And of course, all of this is happening in Aquarius. So Aquarius risings, you are on deck. It has a big potential of triggers this week. But triggers can go a couple of different ways. For some people, the trigger is going to be, this is what I have to do to overcome fear, to let go of what's been holding me back, how I can transform or transmute myself into something better, into something bigger, into something greater. For some people, it's going to be that. For other people, it is going to be the triggers of insecurities. Now, insecurities can hit either way, but there are some people that they stay in victim mentalities. Do not take this any way but the way I'm saying it. You can have certain things that trigger your insecurities, and as opposed to finding a way to accept those and transmute them into personal power, it will push you in the other direction of the negativity, the frustration, pushing yourself down, beating yourself down. I'm not wishing for this. I'm being realistic. I've seen how heavy Pluto transits come. And there will be things that speak to fear and insecurity and things that do not make sense. Woo, land of confusion. Do not make sense. Dusty, why are you saying that in particular? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. This week is our last full week of Neptune in Pisces. Our last week in this century, in this lifetime, the last full week of Neptune in Pisces. And I expect confusion. I expect little things to fuel vibration. Some people, the fuels are going to be triggers, and they are going to be frustration, and they are going to put more things into society, into the collective, into our environments. There are things that are going to trigger insecurity and power dynamics. I'm not sugarcoating this. It is bigger than what I'm actually saying. I know it's going to happen. I've seen Pluto transits before. Number two, if it is not triggering you in the negative power sense of dynamic, pushing you down, forcing you to be more abrasive in something, pushing you to transform your personal power. The other thing is it's going to do is it's going to I just lost the word. Inspire to manifestation. But this takes a very sharp amount of personal power, and it kind of plays into the other song. And again, remember I said I have two songs in my head. These should never get mashed up, but this is the way it's literally going in my head. It is the vibration of Land of Confusion. I'm personally hearing the metal version, the disturbed version, but I know the Genesis version too. I grew up watching MTV. Rest in peace, MTV. There's that. But the other song came through late last night. I have been putting off and putting off and putting off buying myself one particular book. Anyone that is Saturn ruled or has Saturn in the first house, you understand that you will make certain decisions where you are last in line. You sacrifice for other people. And I have purposely pushed off purchasing just one book. It's not a huge thing. It's not the book itself, it's the act of it. I've purposely pushed off buying this book for myself because I'm like, I can put that money elsewhere. I can take care of something around the house, dog food, groceries, bills, whatever. I kept pushing it off. But then late last night, nope, add to cart, boom, done. Gets delivered this week. As soon as I did that, the other song loudly started to come through. And I've been jamming to it also in my head. Again, this is a weird mashup, and you guys are going to giggle whenever you hear it. Madonna, Material Girl. Yeah. So I'm going from Land of Confusion, a material girl. This is the mashup in my head. Welcome to my mind. The thing is, it didn't stop. Like sometimes I'll just kind of do it for a minute and it's like, oh yeah, it's like confirmation. This is what I'm supposed to do. No, the two songs have been like concurrently playing. Na 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 material in my head. And for some people, parts of this week, the manifestation, the power dynamic, the facing something head on, hearing something that sounds like judgment. You shouldn't be doing that. You can't move to another country. I don't know what made you think you can start a business. What do you mean you're going to do this? What do you mean you're going here? What do you mean you're quitting your job? What do you mean? And as soon as you hear it, you are transmuting it into personal power. Because some of us, again, we are Mars ruled. We are feeling our chart ruler being tested. Venus conjunct Pluto, Libra and Taurus risings. The Sun conjunct Pluto, Leo risings. Mercury's conjunction to Pluto. Yeah, Virgo and Gemini risings. Basically, everybody's on deck. There's something in this vibration that speaks to testing our personal power. Now, there are some people that as soon as you get a good idea, you tell it to someone else and they immediately say something that triggers insecurity, that pushes you back going, maybe this isn't the right idea. Maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe this isn't. And I'm telling you, buck up. Do not listen to them. Focus on yourself. They don't pay your bills. And whenever they have that kind of opinion, tell them the light bill. Tell them they're half of the rent. If they don't pay the bill, if they're not a contributing factor to your daily life, to how you make a living, to where you're going next, on them. I would rather say other words, but I'm trying to behave. It's my opinion. Other people, it's going to feel different. The minute somebody says you can't do something, you're going to want to challenge them. You might feel insecurity in the moment. You might feel something and be like, it makes you question yourself. I'm telling you to then go back and rewatch this episode, especially this little intro of some people are getting things to help them build themselves into another form of personal power. And that takes me to Material Girl. So we're blending these two. For some people, triggers in the world, triggers in the environment, triggers within ourselves, hearing things that trigger fear and insecurity, it's meant to happen this week. In no way, shape, or form am I sugarcoating that. How you choose to deal with that, how you choose to handle the situation makes all the difference in the world. Do you let their words hold you back? Do you choose to commit to their vibration, or do you choose to commit to your own? Take back your personal power. Don't do it just to satisfy someone else's ego. A lot of people, whenever they tell you you can't do something, they are coming from their own wound, because in some way, shape, or form, they tried to do something and then they failed. So then they put it into perspective of like pushing that vibration onto other people. There are so many people that they think that they're in positions of aid and helping, but what they actually are is they're coming from their own wound. We've had a lot of energy focused on wounds these last few months. And one of the things I said since October is it's time to do the opposite and to no longer let our wounds control us. We face our fears head on. Does that feel like a fueling? For many, it will. Take the fears head on. Understand the triggers are necessary, but do not allow other people to hold you back. Because based off the way this vibration is going, the starting energy, the startup in our new normal, setting the foundation, talking to other people about the outline, the blueprint, the plans. Sometimes you're going to get some negative feedback. Some people are not going to see your vision, but other people will. So again, if you get triggered this week, come back and rewatch the intro. Just the intro. That's all you need. For some of us, this week will encompass the land of confusion. And I do anticipate in the collective, there's going to be pushes of people in positions of power that people do not know exactly how to free themselves from it. Now, there's a specific reason why I say that in the environmental collective sense. Neptune is wrapping up its trip through Pisces, and Neptune does re-enter Aries, and now he will fully submerge into his new sign, where he's going to fuel beliefs. And I will do a meditative rant video explaining more. I started doing the research on that video literally last summer, but my intuition told me we were not ready for it. We are ready for it now. It is coming. It will probably happen later this week. I have explanations that are coming. People in positions of power doing things where other people do not feel capable of fighting back. They don't feel capable of defending themselves. And the reason I say that is because we have our third and final sextile between Saturn and Uranus this week. There's a fueling for people in positions of power. Now, for some people, that's going to literally result in things in your work environment, things with your boss. I'm in charge now. This is our new method. This is what we're doing. I don't care how it makes you feel. If you don't like it, you can leave. There's the door. A lot of bosses are going to be enacting power this week. And it is going to trigger insecurities in that way. And it's going to show you again whether you're in the right place or not. And we're supposed to be in a place where we're building solid foundation. And if for any reason your root chakra is activated, you are not feeling solid, then you are not in the right place. Trust your gut. Trust your intuition. Listen to the downloads that are coming through. There's a lot of this energy that will have physical, outer area, outer world insecurities, not sugarcoating that, but there will be internal dialogue, internal vibration. There will be pushes of movement. Some of y'all, your meditation needs to be active meditation. Some people don't realize that. If you have a fire moon or a fire Mercury, I promise you active meditation. You need to run. You need to go for a walk. You need the boxing. You need the deconstruction of a house. You need some sledgehammer therapy. Do your active meditation, and whatever clarity comes through at the end is meant to be there. It is your internal compass. It is your karma. It is your direction. Pay attention to the internal as well as the external. For a lot of you, the external will trigger the internal. For some of you, the way that you feel, and whenever you push back on somebody, you will then trigger more external. Internal and external. And this is why I'm saying land of confusion. There will be confusion in this week, but there will also be a fueling of that new normal, the new vibration, the new direction that we are undergoing. Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into Monday. Let's get into everything we need to focus on. Excuse my allergies and all that. We are starting right after midnight. Now, why are we starting right after midnight? Because there is a transit that perfected at midnight, and we're going to focus on it right here. And that is Mercury's trine to Uranus. Some of us are going to be saying some things to other people that trigger fear, that trigger insecurity, that trigger frustration. For some people, you're going to tell them something, Mercury, you're going to communicate something. You're going to have a plan of something that is either very, very exciting, Uranus, or very, very alarming. Triggering insecurity. Why am I saying that? In the late night hours of January 18th, Sunday, going into Monday, January 19th, we have this Mercury trine to Uranus. The sun is starting its sextile to Neptune, but we also have this moon Pluto. So we have a lot of, again, vibrations that speak to Pluto and will trigger insecurities. Just about every sign this week will have their chart ruler affected by Pluto. The only ones that are not really affected by Pluto are going to be Sagittarius and Pisces risings. But Pisces risings, you get an asterisk next to it because, again, Neptune is wrapping up its trip through Pisces. And some of y'all are going to just be realizing you're done with something, you're completing something, or you're ready to start something and you're feeling yourself push into that. That doesn't have to be heavy, but you might have some things that come through that are blindsiding because a lot of this is happening in your 12th house. So let's be fair. I felt like all the signs needed to know this is the week. This is a heck of a week. Okay, keeping it going. Mercury's trine to Uranus was roughly right around that midnight time frame. Everything else goes more into the actual daytime of the 19th. I just didn't want to skip that in any way. So in the mid-afternoon between 3:50 and 4:12 p.m., I got this now at 3:30, the sun, 2949, is going to hit a sextile to Neptune. Now, again, we've got a Neptune vibration that encompasses the entire week. There will be some things that are very, very confusing. There are some things for some people that are going to be inspiring. There's going to be some things that you talk to somebody about, they do not understand it, and their response triggers insecurity. Why am I saying that? It's not specific to this time. That's the one thing I want to be clear about. Most of the energy of Monday, it's going to be an all-day vibration. We're wrapping up the sun in Capricorn. It's going to change signs. We're going into the Venus-Pluto conjunction. It's building right here. It's not exact. And then we also have that Neptune part of the vibration. There's a noise, there's news, there's loudness, there's things that are not clear. There's sometimes you hear certain stories and they might not be completely true. Sun sextile Neptune. But the lack of truth is another thing that's meant to trigger that insecurity. It's triggering that transformation, the transmutation. There's triggers to this week. And I really mean it when I say arguably this might be the most triggering week of the year. We have this vibration going on. The sun sextile to Neptune, it is the most exact between 3:50 and 4:12 p.m. We can be feeling at any time throughout the day, something that feels surreal, something that is confusing. Hearing something that doesn't necessarily feel right. There could be lies, fraud, deception. For other people, it's the inspiration to creativity of something, again, fueling a belief system or fueling a vibration that we want to start, but we might not be quite ready to start quite yet. And again, it's being received oddly for some people. Be aware of that. All right. As we continue at 7:45 p.m., I'm going to put this now at 8:30. The sun is going to go into Aquarius. We are now in Aquarius season. While that is going on, we also have an energy that is starting on the 19th. This continues into the 20th, and that is Saturn's third and final sextile to Uranus. The first one happened back in March of last year. That was during the Venus-Mercury retrograde. The second one happened whenever Saturn was in Aries and Uranus was in Gemini. It was giving us, again, the glimpses of some new directions, a little bits of inspiration, but not necessarily feeling like everything is in a timely spot. This is very timely because Saturn is direct. Uranus is retrograde, so there's going to be some people that might be hesitant, but Uranus is moving towards Saturn. So there's more likely to be levels of acceptance, but still triggers of insecurity because Venus's conjunction to Pluto is building. Now, this is actually going to go to the most exact between 10:02 and 10:21. So I'm going to bump this now to 10:30. Here's Pluto, 3 degrees, 19 minutes. Here is Venus, 3 degrees, 20 minutes. We've been building to this all day long. Taurus risings, Libra risings, you're going to feel this one the most. Aquarius risings, you're feeling everything. Congratulations. Ask Capricorn how they felt over the last month. A Capricorn rising. Now you're feeling their energy. And even in the new moon episode, I told y'all, expect some things to start to fall onto your plate as we go into this week. Hi, here you go. Trigger of transformation or triggers of insecurity. I don't know which way this is going. Do what you will. Land of confusion or material girl. What are you listening to? Okay, keep going. Venus's conjunction to Pluto. This can be something that requires physical change. Can be things that we are craving something. There could be a taste vibration to this for a lot of people. There can also be something of like sacrifice. If your physical transformation is necessary, you want to commit to, a new workout routine. This is like facing the fear of cleaning out everything from the pantry, and not in an edible, I want to eat everything in the pantry kind of sense. It's more along the lines of like, it's going in the trash can. I'm clearing it out. I'm transforming the space, but I'm also sacrificing all of this stuff so I can have physical transformation. Because sometimes Pluto can be physical transformation. Other people, this can be internal energy. And again, it's Pluto, so please be aware of plumbing issues this week. All week. I'm not wishing it. I'm being realistic. And it's gotten cold for a lot of people, so that's not a reach. Okay, we'll keep it going. The Saturn-Uranus sextile, it is going to go on throughout the overnight. It takes us into Tuesday. I want to be clear about that. But right before midnight, Mars comes and joins the party. So I got this now at 11:30. Here's Mars, 27:32. Here's Saturn, 27:33. Here's Uranus, 27:33. Mars comes in and joins the party. There is a disruption. There is an action. There is fighting. There is tension. There is an action either coming from people in positions of power, coming from the boss, the CEO, the government. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They've done enough lately. There are things that are triggering insecurities, and it's very, very heightened on Monday. Mars coming in, being the god of war, and the fact that Mars is going to be the one hosting the Saturn-Neptune conjunction that finally happens in February. Mars is leading the pact in regards to like how much fire energy starts to set the pace as we continue this year. This is a very interesting vibration because it's telling us a lot, and it's a very foreshadowy energy. Some of the actions that we're doing somewhere between Monday night, January 19th, and Tuesday morning, now we're on the 20th, Mars is still heavily here. We still have Venus, Pluto going on. We still have something new that has come to light, come into the vibration. And for some people, it is going to be very, very triggering and frustrating. For other people, it is going to be fueling. How you respond to this, I do not know. Everybody's in different places of their path. I'm sorry. I'm just being realistic. Mars comes and joins the party and brings something very disruptive in regards to the collective environmental change. This is the most exact on Monday and Tuesday. Be aware of that, especially the overnight hours, as you can see right here. Oh, good old Mars. Aries risings, Scorpio risings, we are probably the problem. Capricorn risings, you are probably the problem. Just being aware of that. We're triggering some people. Okay, we're going to keep this going. Now, in the morning time, put this now at 8:30 a.m., Mercury is going to hit its sextile to Neptune. There is again news, and this can feed off of whatever was going on Monday. When the sun hit the sextile to Neptune, there could be some kind of news, some type of information, some type of filing, some type of plan. For some people, it's inspirational. You're filing your LLC. This is how it's going to be. This is going to be 123 Business LLC based out of whatever state you're in. I don't care. Tax IDs and stuff like that. We're doing stuff that we've never done before. It's a little confusing. We're kind of learning in the moment. It feeds off of what we were doing the day before, but our intuition is saying, do this, do this, do this. Time to learn this, expand on this, talk about this, plan through this, communicate this. But the Neptune part is the problem. For some people, it's inspirational. It's fueling a new desire. It's fueling a manifestation. But for other people, Neptune, lies, fraud, deception. It can go either way. So this can be good for you as an individual, but harsh in the collective, or vice versa. Harsh for you as an individual. Some people get caught lying for the last time. Some people have some level of theft for the last time, stealing. Discovery in this regard. And discovery is going to be a key word as we continue this week. That triggers new vibration as it sets the stage. Like we're in an underway of rising tension. Mercury hits the sextile to Neptune. As we continue into the morning, the next two are going to happen simultaneously. I'm going to put this now at 10:30. Between 10:30 and 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is going to hit a sextile to Chiron, talking about recent wounds, recent triggers, recent insecurities, and the solutions necessary to fix them. But the solutions comes with the arrival of news. And this is why I'm saying we have more than one thing going on. So sometimes this is going to be collective energy. We still have the Saturn, Uranus sextile going on. They're kind of separating, but really they've been on top of each other. We're past the exactness, but it's still environmental. But over this time span, I bumped this from 10:30 to 11:30. Mercury enters Aquarius. Something new comes through, an arrival, an epiphany. Aquarius risings. You got some stuff coming through. Some of y'all going to get blindsided. I'm so sorry. Some of y'all are going to be done with some things. Some of you are going to have some things that are just falling onto your plate. Some of us are going to have news. Some of us are going to have some things come to light. They're getting revealed. For some people, that's going to be triggers. For other people, that's going to be levels of news and information. For other people, it's time to tell people, this is the debut. This is the revealing. I'm starting my company. I'm going to run a cupcake business. I'm trying to think of something more positive than negative. Please give me some grace. Okay. Mercury enters Aquarius. This happens again while the moon is in the sextile to Chiron. It's just past the exact right here whenever this is happening. So the news for a lot of people, Mercury's arrival into Aquarius, also is how we work towards the solution, talking to other people about their insecurities and finding a solution, getting some type of clarity, putting together a fitness routine, a diet routine, a workout routine. Like I need a plan. I need an outline. I need something that supports the elements of the new foundation that helps me work it through my root chakra, shaking out my hips, that type of energy. Physical effect too. There can be physical effects. We're not sugarcoating anything, keeping it going. As we get into the evening time, between 7 and 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, getting this now to 7:30, the moon in Aquarius is hitting a square to Uranus. Uranus is stationing right now. And one of the ways that we will start February is Uranus being direct. We have this stationing energy. So there can be some stuck, confused. I don't know how to end something. I don't know how to turn something around. I'm feeling insecure, but I know you understand my insecurity because you have been where I have been before. Moon square Uranus. I know you understand where I'm coming from. I know you've been here before. Some of y'all, you're going to be the person going, I know exactly how you feel. I remember when I filed for a divorce. You're filing to get free, Uranus, breaking the chains, breaking the habits, breaking apart. I've been where you have been. I remember how hard it was to make the decision, how hard it was to choose an attorney, how hard it was to do the filing. I have been where you have been, but it is time to break away from something. For some people, this is going to be very, very exciting, moon square Uranus, but giving everything else that has been going on over the last few days, some people it's not exciting. It's just shocking. It's shocking. It's unexpected. It's coming through in a way that is going to trigger a lot of people. Not everybody's going to understand what needs to be said or how to break through something. But for a lot of people, it will start to trigger emotions in some way, positive or negative. That's going to depend on you and how you start to respond to everything. So we're going to keep this going. We're going to go from the 20th now to Wednesday, the 21st. 21st. And right after we get into the 21st, putting this at 1:30 in the morning, what happens? The moon goes into Pisces. The moon is now in Pisces. And again, some of the things that's going on, some of the news, some of the situations, some of the conjunctions to Pluto are starting to bring something into the surface, and we have levels of emotional responses. But Pisces is bringing things up from the depth. It's going to the bottom of something, scraping the bottom and bringing it out. And for some people, there were triggers that took us back to root causes. I've said this one before, root causes as to why we respond the way that we do. And over the course of the next few days, while the moon is going through Pisces, we need to get to the reason we respond the way that we do. Now, sometimes we're going to hear somebody else and we need to understand their root cause. Again, if somebody starts to project like, you can't do this, really they're saying that because they couldn't do it. Something that they tried to do before failed. They never thought that it was worth the effort. Some things go down to childhood trauma and stuff like that. But there's an emotional vibration of something that we need to work through so we can get through the insecurities. For some of you, you're going to be vibing when the moon goes into Pisces. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling capable. I'm going to build it. I got my LLC. I'm going to start my website. I'm going to do this. And it's this creative energy while the moon is going through Pisces. You're picking the colors for your website. You're looking at all the material. You're looking at things that are fun and they just kind of evoke emotion. This is such a pretty fabric. This is going to be such a pretty cake. This is going to be such a pretty photo. And it's going to be something that triggers emotions in the other way, more positive. Material girl. We are going through an evocation of emotion. Evoking. There's an evoking here. And it is an emotional response. For some people, the moon in Pisces will have negative effects, and we need to get to the root cause of something, scrape the bottom of everything to figure out why we responded that way. For other people, it's creative and it's softer and it's gentler. And it really kind of comes down to where you're at after what happened through Monday and Tuesday, and working through the emotions, however positive or negative they are, while the moon goes through Pisces. Because again, we're getting closer to a fueling, but the fueling doesn't fully take place this week, just elements of it this week. But right now, emotional processing, the moon is in Pisces. So fun, so fun, so fun. All right. Now, Wednesday doesn't have as many transits. The moon will be in Pisces, of course, for the next 2 days. You can see that right here. This is literally how we're starting Wednesday. It moved in at 12:50 a.m. Central Standard Time. So a lot of us, Wednesday is just the moon in Pisces. Now, as you continue in the morning time, most exact between 9:37 and 10:20 a.m., so getting this now to 9:30, Mercury cazimi. Mercury goes into the heart of the sun. This is happening at an early degree of Aquarius. So we just had new things come through over the last few days while the sun came into Aquarius and Mercury came into Aquarius. And now we have something coming to light, something that is being revealed, something that is being scanned, something that is being talked about, something that is being brought to the surface, information. There are things coming into light, coming into focus. Mercury cazimi. For some people, this will be clarity. For some people, this will be epiphany. It will be the internalized vibration that requires external triggering as we continue through the week. For other people, literally, there's scans. Like you literally need to go in and have something looked at. You're doing something more focused in regards to like, I need to deep dive into this paperwork. I need to literally highlight every single word, read every page. I need to understand. There's clarity, but there's also this mental compass as the clarity continues. It is the most exact in the morning time. I'm still going to be talking about this clarity, but I want to go ahead and bump into the next transit that's going to happen. And this is not necessarily something that normally comes through as an external thing. It's internal. And that is around 6 p.m. It's down to 5:30. The moon is going to hit a conjunction to the North Node. Now, this again is happening in the afternoon, but we are still in a Mercury cazimi. There are ideas. North Node is the head of the dragon. My ego, for some, there's going to be something egotistical here. The focus on what we need in our emotions, moon conjunct North Node, what we need to heal something for some, where we want our focus to be. There's clarity, focus, information, understanding, things are coming to light, getting revealed. Mercury Cazimi. Ideas are coming through. Epiphanies are coming through. Mental energy coming through. Moon conjunct North Node. But Mercury rules our logical brain. So we have a lot of this energy focused to this, the head, what we're thinking, what we believe, where we're focused, what we want, what we desire, because the North Node is kind of like greedy. I said this before, greedy. Gimme. It's like a greedy baby. And it really kind of depends. Are you a person that leads with ego? Because you could be very fueled, emotionally fueled right here. But for other people, it's an idea of direction. It feels like a compass energy. It's more coming to light. It's more coming into focus. We can be making decisions throughout the day on Wednesday. So anticipate, yes, we can have the physical environmental things. I'm not discarding that, but we still have the internal downloads. So we're going to keep this going. These were the only 2 transits to Wednesday. Things coming to light, things getting discovered, things getting revealed, feeling timely decisions, epiphanies, Moon conjunct North Node. We're going to keep this going. We're going to get into the 22nd. And the 22nd is also not that heavy in transits. The moon is going to be in Pisces all day long. We're still doing different levels of emotional processing and different levels of understanding. I'm going to get this to 10:30 a.m., January 22nd, 10:30. Here is the moon in Pisces, 18 degrees, 22 minutes, hitting a trine to Jupiter. Now, what I do like about the Jupiter moon, whenever the moon is either in Pisces or Sagittarius right now, is there's mutual reception. But this is mutual reception with understanding, with support, the doctor, the guru, the teacher. This is what I have felt. This is what I'm needing to deal with. This is what I'm needing to focus on. Oh, yeah, we saw your labs during the Mercury Cazimi. We saw the scan. We saw something. Let me tell you more. Let me help you understand more. Let me put more emphasis in front of you. Moon trine Jupiter. The doctor, the guru, the teacher. Sometimes you need something explained to you. You need to be taught something. Some of you are the teacher, but there's a level of mutual understanding. We are on the same page about something. You talk to somebody getting advice again because of stuff that they have gone through. Again, if you filed for divorce, you're talking to other people that have been in your shoes and you're getting their understanding and their support. They understand where you're coming from. You can tell your story and they know exactly how you feel because they've been in it before. They understand your loss. They understand your frustration. There's an understanding. I like this energy. And some of us need that awakening, supportive energy midweek to kind of conquer everything else. And there is a conquering, so to speak, because simultaneously, look at what else is going on the screen. Mercury's conjunction to Pluto. So I'm going to bump this to 11:30. That's going to put it more exact. We're still moon trine Jupiter. That didn't go away. But Mercury's exact conjunction to Pluto is right here between 11 a.m. and 11:28. So I got it at 11:30. Pluto, 3 degrees 24. Mercury, 3 degrees 25. We have to deal with the filings. We have to deal with the communication. We have to talk about what came through on the scan. We have to talk about the results. We have news that's coming out that can trigger more insecurities, but it doesn't necessarily feel fully like insecurities. The moon's trine to Jupiter. I feel like there's internalized understanding, but we're still talking through insecurities. We're still talking through the triggers. I'm so sorry your dad made you feel that way, but your dad's never started a business before, baby. You got to realize that you need to talk to your uncle. You need to talk to somebody else. You need to talk to me. Let me help you in a way that I understand where you're coming from because I didn't have the support of my family. Let me tell you what you do. Let's talk about something. And it's finding additional levels of support so we can face our fears. Mercury conjunct Pluto. And again, it's a Pluto transit. Some of y'all need to understand, don't put your grease down the sink. Some of y'all, the Pluto transits are going to be plumbing. I'm sorry. It's going to be plumbing. It's going to be stuff that's going on underneath the ground. It's going to have to do with resources. It's going to have to do with the gas lines. It's going to have to do with something that goes on behind the scenes, behind the walls, below the surface, below the ground. If it's a physical thing, it's not always going to be a trigger of fear and emotion, but we're talking through something. And this is solution oriented when it comes to Thursday. So let's be aware of that. And whatever happened on Monday, And also right here with Mercury can also feed into the Sun Pluto for some people that is going to happen the most exact on Friday. So there can be foreshadowing energy throughout the week of what we need to face head on. And this is one element of conversation. And again, this is really the only thing going on with Thursday. Mercury's conjunction to Pluto while the moon is in the trine to Jupiter. We need to understand something, and that means having heavy conversations that help us work through our fears, that help us work through situations. And it is talking to people that understand where we're coming from, that they understand and they can tell you something in a way that you can understand. That moon trine to Jupiter is really helping the Mercury Pluto. I'm not saying it still won't have triggers. For a lot of people, it still will. But for other people, it's going to be like, horse shit, I know you're lying. We are still wrapping up Neptune in Pisces this week. So keeping us going. Oh, the Mercury Pluto is going to be a part of the entire day. The moon's trine to Jupiter will wrap up by mid-afternoon. Now I'm going into the next day. We're getting closer to the 23rd. And there are a lot more transits to Friday. First and foremost, I want people to understand that this is whenever we're going to finally get our Sun Pluto. We are wrapping up Mars's entry through Capricorn. And we're still in this wrap up of Neptune in Pisces. Some of y'all are wrapping some things up, and literally Friday for a lot of people it's going to be endings. It's going to be a wrap up. There will be triggers of insecurity. There will be triggers of frustration. And if this is coming from people in positions of power, do not be surprised. Some of y'all, the trigger is going to make you focus more on responsibility, role, and elders. Do not be surprised. There's a lot to Friday, and I'm making that super clear. And it will inspire or fuel a reaction somewhere through the day in a lot of ways. So let's keep this going. Right after midnight, in this exact moment, Mars is hitting the sextile to Neptune. This is foreshadowing because where is Neptune about to go? Oh, Mars's sign. Neptune is about to move into Aries. So this is foreshadowing as to a direction in parts of our new path, in parts of our new normal. There's still elements of the snake skin shedding and certain things coming to light, certain insecurities getting revealed. I'm going to keep this going, and we're still feeding into the same vibration. I want to get this to about 3:30 because that's going to encompass both. Between 2:30 and 4:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, the moon is hitting this conjunction to Saturn. This is the rules. This is the boundaries. This is the laws. This is the process. This is the procedure. This is the government. This is the CEO. This is the elder. Simultaneously, Sun conjunct Pluto. This goes the most exact between 4:19 and 4:42 a.m. Central Standard Time. Triggers of insecurity. Some of us are going to be okay with the triggers. Some of us are going to be very, very accepting of our role in something. Some of us are going to have a very sleepless night, Thursday night going into Friday. Some of y'all, this might actually still be a part of Thursday, depending on your individual time zones. There are things coming to light, coming into focus. It's feeding throughout the entire week. This doesn't feel completely new, but it feels cementing. And again, it feels like it's fueling a reaction. The reaction is not happening all at the same time. We're going to keep this going. The other thing that is happening during the Sun-Pluto conjunction is, look, Mars has entered Aquarius. Poor Aquarius risings. Y'all just had hit. 4 planets entered your first house in a week. Congratulations, Aquarius risings. There is the arrival. There is a reaction. There is a fueling. Why am I keep saying that? Because we're going to keep this going. It'll make sense. All in these overnight hours, the moon will hit the conjunction to Saturn. It's in the sextile to Uranus simultaneously. I'm more focused on the moon's conjunction to Saturn than I am the sextile to Uranus, but this still feels like it's a collective thing, an environmental thing. The sun's conjunction to Pluto is going to trigger insecurities. We're going to hear some things that it's very timely to hear, and it is going to trigger fear. I'm just being very real. This can be the most triggering energy of the year this particular week. But anytime we have hits of triggers, it is to force us into a different direction. And again, 2026 is pushing us into a new normal. So, Between 6:30 and 8:30 a.m., get this now to 7:30, the moon will hit its conjunction to Neptune, and then it will go into Aries. So there is this energy of the moon hitting the conjunction to Neptune, of something coming to a close, a belief that is ending, an inspiration that is ending, but simultaneously for other people, it is fueling a reaction. The moon is now in Aries. The moon in Aries is reactive. It's impulsive. And Mars is now just went into Aquarius, which is the sign of people, the masses, the collective. The two rulers of Aquarius, Saturn and Uranus, had a sextile this week. The masses, the collective of fueling. There is a fueling. For some people, it is going to be direction and path as individuals. For other people, it's going to fuel a resistance of frustration. There is going to be triggers of fear this week. I'm not sugarcoating that. And again, we are in the land of confusion. As this week progresses, that song is going to make more and more sense to people. I've already seen it. The moon is now in Aries, fueling, inspiring an action or reaction of what we need to transform, how we face our fears, how we overcome certain things. You tell somebody that you want to do something new, and they sit there and they push you down, they say negative things, and then by the end of it, you're like, no, they're wrong. Because they are. They are. There is an insecurity that's meant to push buttons this week, and it is meant to fuel you. The first wave of fueling, we need to react to something going into the weekend. The bigger wave of fueling will go into next week. There is a fueling in the collective and as individuals. How you are responding to this as an individual is your way of responding. It's your choice. You can choose to be negative or you can choose to be positive. Be aware of that. You should have control of your emotions. I know not everybody does. And the people that do not have control of their emotions, when the moon goes into Aries, it's going to get lit, loud, noisy, and stubborn. Yay. Okay, moving along. The moon is now in Aries. That happened roughly at 7:26 a.m. Central Standard Time. So, of course, we're at 7:30. And as soon as the moon goes into Aries, what does it start to do? Oh, it goes into a sextile from Mars. So we have an arrival. We have something new going on. We have new information, and we have whatever has recently come to light start to fuel an action or a reaction. Why do I say that? Let's keep this going. Mars is sextile to the moon. While the moon is still in the conjunction to Neptune, there's a disbelief, there's a surreality, there's vibration shifting, there's environmental shifting. But roughly between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m., bumping this now into the afternoon, Pluto will start its sextile to the moon. This is going to happen simultaneously while the sun is going through. That's going to be more exact between 11:30 and 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Sorry, I got that very backwards just now. So we have all of what has recently come to light over the course of the last week that is fueling an action. It is fueling a reaction. It is fueling some type of desire, whatever Aries rules for you. It is putting something into order. It is pushing some type of action. It is pushing, fueling, infuriating a lot of people. Moon now in Aries. We're not just going to sit here and be quiet. We're not going to try to get to the bottom of something anymore. No, we're done getting to the bottom. Now we want to take action. Pluto hits the sextile to the moon again between 12:30 and 2:30, between 1:30 and 3:30. Got this now at 2:30. The sun will hit its sextile to the moon. This just really does feel like it's feeding off of what was recently discovered with the discoveries of the sun Pluto, just to be clear. As the afternoon progresses between 4:30 and 6:30 p.m., so pump this now to 5:30, Mercury will hit a sextile to the moon. So there's additional news, additional communication, additional conversation, additional planning that can fuel a reaction. It's talking something out. For some people, it's trying to support them. It's trying to give them additional levels of information, more dialogue, the documentation. There's something here that has a tangibility to it. Like, here's the receipts, here's the screenshots, here's my severance letter, here's the physical of it. And again, it's fueling a reaction more and more. For some people, you're traveling somewhere because what did you say to my wife? What did you say to my person? What did you say to my kid? Mercury sextile to the moon. We're fueling a reaction right here. As we get into the evening time, we're still fueled, but it's not nearly as negative. Between 9:30 and 11:30 p.m., I got this now at 10:30, Venus is now going to sextile the moon. And this feels a lot more calmer. It feels a lot more supportive. It feels a lot more understanding, but it still feels like it's a part of the fueling. And sometimes it's support in the fueling. Like, I can help you build it. I can help you do that. I can help you put together that IKEA furniture this weekend. I can help you with something. I can be a part of this. I can support. But we still have a reaction that is being fueled. And we are still wrapping up Neptune and Pisces. This is going to continue all weekend. I just want to be clear. So we're in the process of doing something new for the long term, Aquarius, fixed air signs, but fueling initial reactions to make long-term things happen. And for some people, from some of the reaction, we're still kind of frustrated. We're still pretty angry. We're still trying to understand some things. We're still trying to put some things into motion. We're going to get this going into the 24th. We're now in Saturday. Now, whenever it comes to Saturday, there's not as many transits, but again, it's the moon in Aries and it's a very fueled vibration. Our first transit is actually not going to happen until the afternoon. So I'm going to get this to 3:30 because between 2:30 and 4:30 p.m., the moon is going to square Jupiter. You can see that right here. Now, the moon is in the higher authority. The moon is in Mars' sign. Mars is newly in Aquarius. So whatever new push this is, it is new because Mars just changed signs. There is something new in what we need to understand, what we need to learn. We're presenting new information to the doctor, the guru, the teacher. We're getting more direction. But considering the moon is in the higher authority and the moon is hosting Jupiter, wherever the reaction is what's fueling the vibration. That's the best word I have. I'm so sorry, guys. I know I keep saying the same thing, but it's fueling what we tell, the lessons that we learn, the support, looking for the cost of something. Moon square Jupiter. Sometimes this isn't the doctor, the guru, or the teacher, but it's more around the masses, or it's more around wealth, abundance, and prosperity. It's a questioning of where did the money come from, or where can we get the money from? There could be something in regards to, again, direction, but a questionable area of it, of trying to get more of an understanding or pushing for someone to do something in this vibration. It can have a challenge to it, but it's a new challenge. It's not old. So we're still part of that new energy. All right. I'm going to keep this going into the evening time. This is going to start between 10:30 on the 24th and end around 1 a.m. on the 25th. And that is going to be the moon's conjunction to Chiron. Now, over the week going into the new moon, we had a bunch of planets that hit squares to Chiron. And for some people, that brought wounds to the surface. For other people, that was pushing you to see what you needed to fix, find some solutions. Right now, we're in a fueling with the moon being in Aries, but we're talking about why it hurt. Moon conjunct Chiron, why we feel this way. We're accepting some elements of the wound. Some of us, we're pushing a new wound onto other people. It's a reactive energy. It's a fueling energy. And you say something the wrong way and we hurt someone else in the moment. Moon's conjunction to Chiron. For other people, it's again coming to terms with a solution in some level, but that's going to be a little bit harder given so much of the triggering energy of the week. And we're still not done. We still have one more Pluto transit that needs to happen, but this doesn't happen this week. It happens next week. So we're not entirely done with the triggers, but we can be more aware of the action that we want to take to handle recent triggers. And that's the moon's conjunction to Chiron. Again, this starts roughly around the 10:30 mark on the 24th. It continues into the 25th. You can see that right here. They're still pretty close to each other. So that late night of Saturday, we can be looking at the solutions, going into Sunday morning, talking about the solutions, talking about our fears, working through certain things, and considering how the day will progress through Sunday. There is going to be something that does slightly chill us out a little bit, but it's not going to be great. After the moon's conjunction to Chiron, though, the moon is going to go void all through the overnight hours. And this is literally going to continue until that lunchtime area. So I'm going to get this now to 12:30. And now the moon is in Taurus. Now, the thing about the moon in Taurus is the moon wants to be comfortable. It wants creature comforts. But Venus is in Aquarius right now. So we're talking about the comforts. We're getting news of things that are being impacted. We are talking through recent fears and recent triggers. We are trying to get something stabilized, moon going into Taurus. We are trying to be comfortable in something. But that also means getting out of the fueling stage and finding a way to shift our gears down to work through something. And there can still be challenges as we go through Sunday, because as soon as the moon goes into Taurus, it starts hitting squares from everything in Aquarius. And there's little things in the triggers that are going to trigger stubborn vibration. I don't want to deal with this right now because, again, the moon in Taurus wants to be comfortable. I don't want your drama. I don't want your opinion. I don't want your actions. I don't want your reactions. I don't want the fight. I don't want the tension. I don't want what you're pushing. And there's going to be elements throughout the day where you're just trying to feel normal, feel stable, feel whatever you're needing to feel. But other people are going to be pushing things. They're going to be pushing agendas. Some of y'all are going to be the pushers, and it really just kind of depends on how your chart ruler did this week. Okay, so the moon is now in Taurus. And again, as soon as the moon goes into Taurus, it starts a series of squares between 2:30 and 4:30. Got it now at 3:30. Mars, 1 degree, 57 minutes, hits the square to the moon. We're right at that exactness. It looks like it went exact, literally 1 to 2 minutes within this time period. Mars is in the higher authority. There is a push. There is a judgment. There is tension. They're saying something the wrong way. There's something that feels very, very challenging. But again, we're just trying to be comfortable. I don't want your drama right now. I don't want to hear this right now. I don't want to talk about this right now. I just need to decompress. There's been too much this week. The moon in Taurus wants to decompress. And the initial energy around decompression is going to be met with resistance. And I want to be clear about that. We are still wrapping up Neptune and Pisces, 29 degrees, 58 minutes. It is wrapping up. How we start Monday is going to be Neptune's arrival into Aries. So we have things that it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to be comfortable. I want to be done with it. I want to focus elsewhere. I want to unwind. I just want my comfort, creature comfort things. I just want to eat, some junk food. I just want to do this thing. Stop pushing. Mars square the moon. Keeping this going between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Got it now at 6:30. Pluto now is going to square the moon. Well, we've had a lot of triggers this week. Now, for some people, this might be the final solution of like, if you had a bunch of plumbing issues this week, it's like we finally got the sink installed. We got that faucet fixed. We got that leak fixed. We got something fixed. And Pluto hitting the square to the moon could be the fix. For other people, if this has not been a plumbing thing, because sometimes Pluto is the plumbing, but a lot of times it's not. And this week does not all feel like plumbing stuff. For other people, it is a trigger of the recent fear or the power struggle. And again, I don't want to deal with it right now. Pluto square to the moon, it's very stubborn. No, I don't want to deal with this. I understand where you're coming from, but not my mess. I want to be comfortable. I want to feel okay. I want to feel confident. For other people, there is a push. Pluto is pushing something, pushing a fear, pushing an agenda, pushing a trauma. It's unloading the trauma. This could be one of those days where we're just doing like the wine and dine. Like, I just need to talk about everything that happened this week. There's so much blah. It's trauma dumping. But that's the only way that we can feel comfortable. And this can be part of that too. There is an unloading, there is an unwinding, but there is a comfort. We're trying to be comfortable. I just need to know that it's okay to feel the way that I am. Keeping this going. Our last transit. And again, this is the last full day of Neptune and Pisces. So we're doing some things for the last time and we're realizing something else is about to begin. We get into this evening time. This is literally between 10 p.m. and midnight. I got it now at 10:30. The sun hits its square to the moon. We get our first quarter moon right here. And this kind of triggers an energy towards buildup. But I don't feel like we're all ready to react to buildup. I just feel like, again, we're feeling some level of empowerment, sun square Pluto. And we're feeling a little twist, a twinge of a directional turn. We're wrapping up Neptune and Pisces. He's literally hours away from moving into Aries, but this is not happening until the 26th. So we have this energy of like push. And I feel like this is going to be internal for a lot of people. And I feel like this is feeding into fueling of like, it doesn't matter how comfortable I want to be. It doesn't matter what we're doing, hearing everything that has happened, seeing everything that is happening this week. It's like we understand there's a light bulb, light epiphany vibration that speaks to a new inspiration, again, a new fueling. Even though we don't want to deal with it in that moment, we are hyper aware that the vibration is shifting. Now, I think back to the last time Neptune moved into Aries, and that was last year. We had that glimpse. Now, the problem with comparing it to last year is Neptune moved into Aries during the Venus Mercury retrograde combo during eclipse season. Like it was heightened energy. We were not even truly able to prepare, but it was very, very flooding in the environment. Everything became very hyper surreal. The colors and vibration shift. There was more high def. There's certain times whenever you're really dealing with something new, your intuition, like everything that you're looking at, it's like the colors are brighter, the space feels wider, it's different. The way the light's coming in the window, everything feels different. And I feel like as the week progresses, after triggers of insecurity, you're going to have elements of that. And I feel like the vibration of Saturday, Sunday, going into the next week's Monday and Tuesday are also going to feel like that. We want to be comfortable. We're trying to feel secure, but we're also feeling a reaction. And we know we're about to start something. But our starting for some people is literally based off of some of the triggers of insecurity through the week. For some of you, it was the new moon. But for a lot of you, it wasn't. And these little clicks to Pluto all throughout the week are going to have environmental types of shifts, things in the collective, just as much as things as an individual. Sometimes you have to be tested. You might know, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm going to do it. Yeah, 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 yeah. But you need the trigger. You need to see it differently. The universe is going to push your buttons. One big real thing like, oh, I don't think you're serious enough. Let me make sure you're serious. And it puts little things into the world, into the environment to push, click, push, feel this differently. This moves differently. Understand this differently. There is a fueling taking place. And there is an environmental shift collectively happening this week. In some ways, we're going to be realizing the old dynamic, the old world, the old process is gone. In other ways, we are going to be very, very focused on the new, but only some elements of the new can come through. It's groundwork, it's foundational, it's the roots. It's setting the stage for extra time, extra layers of things that we will be building, growing, doing later. But we want to make sure, the universe wants to make sure we're ready for whatever the later is going to be. There are tests coming, triggers coming, and your way of responding is a matter of choice. I don't know how to be any more clear than what I am, but I'm very serious. For a lot of people, this week is going to be the most triggering week of the year. Fear, insecurity, frustration. For other people, the triggers are going to trigger transformation, transmutation. This is how I overcome. This is how I transform. This is how I face my fear. This is how I take my power back. And I'm really serious when I say I love to set aside time for just myself during the Sun Pluto stuff. Because every time I meditate on a Sun Pluto day, the downloads are clear. They are surreal. They show me a lot. Some of those things have changed the way that I take care of myself, literally changed my diet, changed my physical form, changed my health. It's helped me different controls of my intuition. It has helped me in a lot of ways, but it wasn't easy. I'm a Pluto conjunct the ascendant person. I trigger insecurity in everybody. I know Pluto brings triggers because I've been the trigger before. I know I'm just that person. There are times I'll be in like the grocery store behind talking to somebody at the deli counter or something like that, waiting for them, and you can just see them starting to get flustered. They feel like they're not going fast enough, and I just have to look at them like, hey girl, like take your time. I know I look cranky and impatient, but it's called RBF. Like, it's fine. Do what you need to do. And I try to lighten their mood, but I know I trigger insecurity because I've seen myself do it over and over again in people throughout my entire life. Now I know it's my superpower. And I recognize triggers. And I am telling you, for a lot of people, this is going to be the most triggering yet fueling week of the year. And it is going to help us as we get more aware of the environment of our new normal. For some people, that will go well. For other people, not so much. And I'm just not going to promise you sunshine and rainbows just to give you Skittles at the end. I'm going to tell you they're Skittles and they're sour because you never know. Okay. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Hit me up with questions, hit me up with concerns. Feel free to book sessions if you need to. I do not have space for emergency sessions this week. Before any of you actually ask me that question, you have to book through the website. I already know I'm completely booked because I got sick last week and I had to reschedule parts of my week last week to get into this week. So I love and appreciate every single one of you. I will talk to everybody very, very soon. Subscribe.